Hi there, everybody. It's November 18th, Wednesday afternoon, and I wanted to let you know, those of you in my 1302 classes, that I have finished reading and commenting on all of your rough drafts for your poem explication. So at this point, if you have not read your comments, and I assume many of you have not because I just finished many of the papers today, you should go and carefully read through the comments I made on your explication. So that is the number one thing to do right now, is to look at the comments. Hopefully you've been working on the rest of the paper as well. But if not, you can use the comments to continue to move forward. The paper is 1,000 words. That does include a works cited page. You do need a works cited page. It will likely only have one source on it, and that is the poem. Unless you're doing any kind of research for this paper, which the vast majority of you are not, as far as I can tell, you will have a works cited with the actual poem on it. But other than that, the paper will be in proper MLA format, double spaced, with the heading only in the top left, and your page number with the last name preceding it in the top right. The paper is due on November 22nd, so that's Sunday. If you would like an extension of 2 days, so if you would like to turn it in on Tuesday of next week, you need to let me know. So you need to email me. I'm not granting an automatic extension unless you email and ask for it. So some of you are more prepared than others to turn the paper in on Sunday. So that's the number one thing to think about. I will be glancing over at my other screen because I have notes up on my other screen here too. But that's number one for paper number 3, your explication. Let me give you a few notes on what I saw in these explications that I think can be improved for many people. Maybe the majority, maybe a few of you. You need to have a thesis as the final sentence of your introduction that argues your overall interpretation of the poem. So the thesis should not be factual. The thesis should be an argument, and it should tell us how you're going to unfold or explicate the poem all the way through your paper. An explication, by the way, most of you got this part correct, and that is the organizational part. An explication is you divide your paragraphs based on the number of stanzas in the poem, and then you go stanza by stanza, paragraph by paragraph, going from the beginning to the end of the poem, unfolding and explicating it along the way. Now, that's easy if you have a 3 or 4 paragraph poem. Those of you who chose Quinceañera or Still I Rise will have to be a little more creative. So somebody I suggested have 3 body paragraphs for Still I Rise, with stanzas 1, 2, and 3 in the first, 4, 5, and 6 in the second, 7, 8, and 9 in the third. Quinceañera and Mexicans Begin Jogging are 1. Actually, Mexicans Begin Jogging is 2, but Quinceañera is 1 stanza. So think about that while you are working on the explication portion of it. Most of you, this time, the vast majority of you are missing any discussion of literary devices in your papers. So even if you got the explication, organization, and arrangement correct, what many people did was just listed out the line, quoted the line, and then said what the line meant. So basically re-summarized the line. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you go further in your interpretation and analysis, and you also add into each paragraph how different things, now you can't add all of the things I'm about to list, but how some of these different things help us understand and put the poem together best. Things like craft, so punctuation, rhyme, rhythm. Things like metaphor, simile, personification, symbol, setting. Sound qualities like alliteration, assonance, consonants. A few of you, and I mentioned it in your paper, or if I didn't mention it, you know you're on the right track, did this and did talk about some of these things as you go along. Imagery, of course, is important as well in everyone's poem. That's how you explicate. You don't just re-summarize the line, but you tell through that summary and literary devices and analysis how it all pulls together to create meaning, to give us reason why we should see the poem in the way that you're arguing we see it. Specifically, go back to my PowerPoint in week 9 called Reading and Understanding Poetry. Now, there you can read all of these devices and what they mean, and even some examples of them. Also, go back to week 11 and reread the assignment of the poem, and that way you'll have that in your head as you continue to revise. Don't forget about slashes between lines of poems. I have actually posted a new document on this week, which is week 13. I think it's week 13. This is week 13. I've posted a new document called How to Quote Poetry in Your Essay. So it'll show you specifically how to use those slashes and how to quote an entire stanza if you need to. In your introduction, you need to mention the author's name somewhere, and you need to mention the title of the poem. It may be in the first sentence, it may be in the second, it may be in the thesis. The first time you mention the poem, you mention the entire author's name. And then subsequent times, you only need the last name of the author, not the first. So you're not using the name Maya. You're saying Angelo. You're not using the name Edward. You're saying Robinson all the way through the paper. I think that's all of the notes that I had as a general commentary on your papers. Of course, specific comments I've made apply to specific pieces of interpretation or grammar or sentence structure or things like that that are going on in your individual papers. So once again, please go back and read those. Now, things that are coming up in the next few weeks. We know that next week, starting on the 23rd, is Thanksgiving week. So there are no real official TCC things going on in terms of any on-campus activities or extracurricular activities. However, I'll talk in a minute about what's going on for us next week. Also due on the 22nd, so that what is also due this Sunday by 11:59 is journal number 4. I have already posted the topic, so you're welcome to complete journal 4 anytime. I have posted in next week's folder already the assignment for your poetry project. Now, the poetry project is 2 parts. And before you even start part 1, you need to select one of 5 poems that I've listed on the assignment. The 5 poems are all located in our text. If you haven't used our textbook, you can find them on Poetry Foundation. Once you select that poem, think about how you're going to analyze it. And I would like you to just analyze and interpret this from your own head, because there are a couple of parts of this that are going to be mandatory for your project. Sometime next week, so starting Monday all the way through Sunday the 30th, so you have quite a number of days to do this. There is one assignment at the very top of that poetry project assignment sheet that I'd like you to do, and that is email me about 3 or 4 sentences telling me what poem you've selected and basically what you think the poem is about. And if you don't hear from me, actually, let me take that back. I'll write a short, brief sentence back to everybody. I'll say, great, this looks good, or I'll give you some more information on the poem and maybe more interpretations you can work on. So that is one thing I'd like you to do next week, starting Monday, the 23rd through the 30th. That is also listed on the assignment, but I just wanted to let you know that that is one thing to do, and I'll have it in the grade book just a quick email to me so that I know you're thinking about the project. You'll notice when you read the project assignment that the first part is a one-page paper, and I only want it one page. It can't go over one double-spaced page. And then the second part is an 8-slide slideshow that has very specific instructions on what to do. There is an element of research in this, so read the assignment sheet very carefully. You can certainly ask me questions after you turn in your poem explication. This is the last thing besides our final exam. So on the assignment for the poetry project, I've given a calendar of things that we're doing for the end of the semester. We're not going to have another quiz. There may be a quiz on the very first calendar we did this semester, but I'm not making up another quiz. So there's one more journal, which is this week's journal. And then that's all for journals and quizzes. There will be no more peer reviews, no more rough drafts. This project is pretty much just all on your own. I'm glad I made it an individual project because people are still dropping out of the course to this day. So it would have been too hasty of me to make a group project, and it wouldn't have worked very well this semester. Check next week's lessons page also for any more documents or slideshows or information I might have about the project. So let me reiterate a few things. Number one, your poem explication. That's what should be on your mind most of all right now. That is due on the 22nd. That is this Sunday. If you want a 2-day extension, you must email me and let me know. After that, you have your journal, or before that, or at the same time. The journal is due the 22nd. No more journals, no more quizzes. Then you'll be working on your poetry project. And there's information on extended office hours I'll have. I do want you to email me next week. And then finally on the calendar, we will have a final exam. I can already tell you that nobody, not a single one of you 1302 students chose Harlem to explicate. So be prepared to write a short answer essay about Harlem on your final. Likely the other two poems that'll show up in some capacity are Quinceañera and Mexicans Begin Jogging, because very few chose those. The vast majority of you chose Richard Cory, which I'm not surprised. That's a great poem. Everybody loves writing about that poem. You even heard a song written and sung about that poem. So the final I'm going to release on December 10th, and then that's due on the 16th. Your poetry project is due on the 13th. So we essentially have 3.5 or so more weeks of class, and that includes Thanksgiving week. So carefully look at all of the assignments and due dates, especially my comments on paper number 3, and let me know if you have any questions. I think that's all. Let me just quickly glance through my notes one more time and see if I forgot to mention anything. And I did not. I think that's all. If I don't talk to you in lecture format again before Thanksgiving, have a great week next week. Stay safe. And I do have office hours this afternoon in an hour from 4 to 6. All right. Bye-bye.